Meeting today here in studio with the representative of Mainstream Construction Services. If you're not familiar with Mainstream, you should be. They've been frequent guests here on the show for the simple fact that they're a fascinating company. They're always changing, they're always evolving, and one of those changes, they're always looking to bring in top-notch industry professionals into the company. That's where Joe comes from today. Joe McLaughlin, my guest here in studio. Joe, good to see you, buddy. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Now your role, your title, I guess if you had a business card, you'd show me. You're Senior Development Manager, is that it?
That's correct, and I'm hoping it's not because of my age.
No, I think it's because your experience. That's what that is.
Yes, that's correct.
So talking about your experience, I mean, the company is based in Austin, Texas. Now, you've been in Austin for a while. You've been in the industry in one way or another a lot longer than your time in Austin, correct?
That's correct. I've been a building maintenance manager, director, for over 35 years.
Okay.
Before that, I was in construction for multiple years and grew up on a farm. So there's lots of a knowledge base that plays into this.
Well, that plays into a lot of things. First and foremost, that's where the senior comes from. It's from the experience.
There we go. Yes.
It's about experience, not age. All right. But the other thing that plays into that on a bigger factor is the whole Mainstream philosophy is they're always evolving and bringing in people. But I'm curious because you're kind of in a unique position because you've gone from utilizing services of Mainstream to now you're the provider. Talk to me about that. I mean, how does that work out for you?
It's been great,
Yeah.
actually. It was not as difficult as I had always imagined it would be. I never really considered myself a salesperson, and I still don't. I play mind games and use other words, but that's what it is. It's allowed me to continue to use the networks and things that I've built and use all of the previously mentioned skills that I've acquired over the years. I can talk to these contractors. I can speak the language.
I'm glad you brought that up. All industries have their own languages, and someone can spot an outsider immediately when they're not using the right lingo in the right way. You've got that.
Yes, I've had lots of exposure to lots of different things.
You know, and I would have to think too, and I joke with friends of mine, they're in the construction industry, not at your level, but they've been doing it a while. And when the newbies come on board and they can catch them slacking, they can say, no, I invented that one, get back to work. I see what you're doing there.
Yes.
That helps too.
Exactly. Yes, been there, done that.
That helps too. And it all gets in the case of Mainstream, it all gets into the all-important culture of the entire company because you bring a background of cultures. You know what works, you know what doesn't work. But the biggest thing, so many times companies want to say, oh, we got to get our culture in place, and they force it. You guys don't force it. It's more of a natural progression. Could you touch on that a little bit, the difference between forcing a culture and letting it evolve naturally?
Oh, it's very true, and I have been exposed to lots of different cultures and lots of different companies. Natural culture is something that presents itself and grows naturally, of course, by the energies of the people that are there, and of course, management has a role of facilitating those types of things to happen. Forced culture, it's if whoever's forcing the culture goes away, then the culture goes away. It's not a natural thing, and there's a lot of companies out there that preach culture just for the sake of preaching culture.
They're just checking the box.
Right. Yeah.
We got culture check. Okay, what's next? Yeah, it doesn't work that way. And I love what you just said. I want to back up. You're exactly right. If you have a situation where a company, one individual or a couple of key players are forcing that culture and then all of a sudden they're gone, the whole thing collapses. Right. Whereas if it happens naturally, everybody continues to evolve with the culture, to embrace the culture, and when newbies come in, it's just a natural progression. But do you ever run into situations to where here's our culture, they bring people in to fit that culture, but as all good companies do, you continue to expand the culture, but these people get stuck and they're like, wait a minute, I don't want, does that happen?
I haven't seen it yet in my tenure here. It's reasonably and a reasonable expectation to think that it would, because the cultures do evolve over time depending on who is coming into the mix and what's going on with the business levels and the types of business even. So it can change, but no, we haven't experienced that where somebody said, this has gotten away from me. I'm not interested anymore.
I kind of think, Joe, the more that I think through this, is the fact that you guys on the front end, before you bring anybody on board, you do your due diligence up front to bring in the people that you know are going to embrace the culture. You bring in the type of people that you know from the get-go are going to evolve as the company continues to evolve, so that may not happen. You know what I mean? I have.
Yeah, we talk to all of them ahead of time and try to get a feel for how they are and what makes them tick.
Well, it's great, and what makes them tick, if it fits with what makes Mainstream tick, welcome aboard. If not, see you later. We'll go to the next one.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that you do change all the time within Mainstream is the services that you guys provide. Good grief. I mean, every time I don't know your industry, you know, and I would think, well, 30 services sounds good. 30, that's nothing. And you're always adding new ones. Can you let me peek behind the curtain? What's the latest services you now provide, and are there any in the near future coming up?
One thing, a comment to that is, as new people come into the organization, just like myself, they have this history. They have these backlog of experiences.
Yeah.
And so new ones coming into the industry can allow us to create new services. One in particular that we're working on getting, I've still got to talk to the Texas Department of Licensing and the licensing people,
sure,
the state, some things like that. But doing the decorative windmills that you see at all the communities, doing the windmill inspections. Those are actual machines. They have oil in them.
So they're actually functioning. They're not just
functioning.
They're not just for looks.
They're not pumping water, but they are functioning items. And so we're working on offering that service, and that goes back to my roots growing up, having a windmill and water well service when I was a kid.
You might have had a windmill on the farm back in the day.
It's still there, yes.
Yeah.
I've been up a million windmills. Mom tells everybody I've been climbing windmills before I was walking. So
okay. So,
that's that.
but it's funny, and that's a great story, because that's just a microcosm of what happens at Mainstream all the time as they continue to bring on more Joes. You know, you're also, I didn't have time to get into the personnel changes going around there, but you're exactly right. Anyone that comes on board with your level of experience, there's that word again, has experiences that are going to benefit Mainstream now, and and not just to benefit Mainstream, benefit the existing customers and potential customers. I mean, there might be someone that's looking for someone to service windmills. We do that. Oh, I'm in. And then when you get them in because of that, then, you know what? We also have these other 48. I don't even know what you're up to now on those services. It just, everything continues to grow.
The 42 and growing, we'll say,
42 and growing.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. As the people bringing their history into a company to support the company and allow the company to grow, as opposed to going to a notebook paper company and being the person in charge by the 8.5 by 11 section.
Yeah,
just plugging in.
That's
all they want. That's all they want out of you.
Right.
But there's so much more in that person.
You know, I've always heard the expression: if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Right.
And I like that one, because you get set in your ways. You know, Mainstream doesn't get set in their ways. You bring in new people with new ideas, with new experiences, with new possibilities, and that's why you just continue to grow and to grow and to grow. You're in 5 states now. I don't know how many markets that encompasses, but I remember when it was 1 state, 1 market. Here it goes.
And it's exciting.
It is exciting.
I actually recently went back. I was offered a job at a building, which is my history, and I went back there for 2 weeks, and it just, great people and all, but the growth, the sensation of growth, the excitement, the possibility of having a franchise for my own, even maybe one day, was missing, and I immediately missed that. I immediately realized, hey, I remember why I broke up with that girlfriend.
Well, you know, and that's a good analogy too. But basically, to bring it down just even more simple, you've evolved too.
Yeah.
You know, you reached a point to where you're the smartest guy in the room. I'm going to get in this other room and continue to grow, and when I become the smartest guy here, we'll bring in other guys.
That's a good thought.
And so you continue to evolve, you continue to get more experience, you continue to add to your senior status, all experience, not age, but you continue to contribute greatly to the success of Mainstream. You know, you and others and everybody coming on board. And I know next time I get to talk to someone from Mainstream, I'll get introduced to another new person with their own set of experience and their own networks and everything else, all to better the company as Mainstream continues to evolve, continues to grow. That's it, man. I'm out of time today. Thanks for popping in.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Good to see you.
My pleasure.
Folks, hey, good to see you as well. Thank you so much. Take care.